Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to EnvironMental with Dandelion. We're your hosts, Bob and Court, and this is our podcast.
Yeah, we talk about different aspects of sustainability here. We have the opportunity to interview lots of cool people doing things. And before we jump into today's episode, we would love it if you could hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out. Thanks a lot.
And today we are joined by Freddie Catlow, who's the CEO of PlanBoo. And thank you so much for being here, Freddie, for being here again.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
second time.
Yes. We've been doing this podcast for about, 2 years-ish, but we started bringing on guests maybe in the last year and a half or so. And so thank you so much. You are the first revisit of one of our previous guests. So we're really excited to kind of get all the updates and hear what you've been up to.
Well, it's been a year, almost a year since we spoke. So there's a lot happened in the last 12 months.
Yeah, let's get some highlights. Do you have new teammates?
Yeah, we've grown.
Projects.
Yeah, we've grown from 3 people or 3 mates to now 9 mates, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we've tripled our team. This has been it's been pretty natural in the way that team members have joined. Have been either friends or friends of friends, or interns, eager interns that have got in touch and said, "Oh, can I work? Can I engage?" And get involved. And then we've seen that they've been really good and a great addition to the team. So then they've rolled on into permanent employees. So now we're a team of 9. We've got 5 projects in 4 different countries.
Nice.
So I think we just done our first project, I think, last year.
Yeah, you had just started with it. And I think I had asked you what the biggest holdback is for folks to jump into the project. And you kind of had said the scale of it, the upfront cost of it. Do you find that it's easier now that you've done a bunch of projects to bring in more?
I think we understand more of the steps and the process that go into developing a project. I think that's also constant refinement and learning. But we've definitely improved our ability to understand the key ingredients and whether a project has the key ingredients to make the biochar carbon cake. And so that's definitely eased the process.
That was a new term, biochar carbon cake.
I sort of just made that up. But
so for those who maybe new, can you remind the audience what PlanBoo is a little bit? We take a step back.
So we enable businesses or individuals to reach their net zero goals by providing them with something called a C-Sync certificate or a carbon removal certificate. And this is the equivalent to 1 ton of CO2 being removed from the atmosphere by our partner projects. And they can use this as a way to measurably reach net zero. So a lot of big corporates now have the ambition and they've committed to tackling the climate crisis. And they go about doing this by reducing their emissions, but also the emissions they can't reduce. Such as aviation, flying, for example. They measure these emissions and then they buy a carbon certificate or a carbon credit, as it's sort of previously been known, and they and that negates those emissions or equalizes those emissions so that they are zero. And we partner with projects and landowners and farmers in the tropics to make these carbon certificates. And we do this by teaching the projects how to produce something called biochar, which is a carbon-based material that's made from plant waste biomass. So waste biomass, there's lots of terms here that I'm throwing around, but hopefully it makes sense. And this plant biomass holds carbon. It's cooked in a kiln, so in an oven, and it pretty much cooks it into pure carbon so that when it's applied in the soil, it then won't go back up into the atmosphere. So it's a way to remove carbon from the atmosphere. And yeah, we do this with projects in different countries. Yeah.
Incredible. Yes. And 4 different projects now, 5 different projects. 5 different projects.
Different countries. Yeah, so we started in Sri Lanka in 2021, which was like our testing ground. There wasn't a methodology, so you have to have a carbon standard to approve that the science of really what you're doing is legitimate. So you have to have a methodology which can be audited and verified. So ourselves and an organization called the European Biochar Standard, and another company called Biochar Life, we co-developed this methodology in 2021, and we got this approved by science to say like this is a way to remove carbon and generate a carbon certificate, and we did that in Sri Lanka, and then since then we've been able to use this methodology in a few more projects and teach a few more people how to generate these carbon credits.
Wow. I mean, 2 years ago, even 1 year ago, and to a lot of extent now, the carbon credit world is kind of wild, and it's hard to find trusted partners, and it's hard to do you find that it's getting easier to manage and to sort of navigate, or do you find that you're having to answer more difficult questions? Like, what is it now that you've been doing it for 2 years?
So I think we approached it as customers ourselves. We were looking at carbon credits going, would I buy a carbon credit? And personally we were like, no, I don't trust it. I don't get enough detail. I don't get enough transparency to believe that this carbon credit I'm purchasing on a website on an airline is legitimate. And I think a lot of other people felt similar, and that's why there's really been an overhaul or a rebirth of what a carbon credit is in the last couple of years, because people have really dived into the details of a project and the science, and we want more people to understand that there are there are high quality carbon credits, so ones that really remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere rather than just avoid it. So there's really 2 types of carbon credits that have been around. The carbon avoidance ones, so that's where we won't emit so much CO2 by using solar, and that's then given as a carbon credit to give someone the permission to emit CO2. So the net result is CO2 in the atmosphere. It's just less than what would have been had there not been a solar panel, for example. Maybe less. Maybe less. Whereas now there's an understanding that if you emit a ton of CO2 into the atmosphere, that we need to then remove a ton of CO2 out of the atmosphere. And this is a carbon removal credit, and that's what we're we're focused in on, because that can legitimately tackle climate change, because the problem with climate change is we've got too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So we need to, instead of putting more into the atmosphere, we need to reduce it, and we also need to remove what's there and put that into places where it won't then go back up. And that's what we're able to do with biochar as a method for removing carbon.
How much biochar does the person need to invest in to pull 1 ton of CO2 from the air?
500 kilograms in our projects. So for every half a ton of biochar, or 500 kilograms, you will remove 2 tons. You'll remove 1 ton of carbon dioxide.
Nice.
So if you've ever been to a building merchant, where you see those big bags of sand, like a cubic meter of sand. So about a ton, so half of one of those. Would equal 1 ton.
You told us last time about how good it is to use in soil, to hold fertilizer if you need it, or it helps with microorganisms. So I bought some to test it. And I'm really excited to give you an update that my garden loves it.
Yeah, really good to hear. Like, that's the great thing about this carbon removal solution is
Yeah.
like, everyone can do it. Everyone can put biochar in their garden. They can see the benefit. Like, it's not something that's far away in a big machine locked up behind a big fence. It's like everyone can remove carbon with biochar in their back garden. So it benefits your soil, like, as you say. So yeah, like trying to scale this as a solution, like it's a tangible solution, which I think is really important. Like carbon credits, there's sometimes this very abstract thing of a gas becoming a carbon credit, and actually like you can buy biochar, you can make your own biochar and use it in your garden as a form of soil conditioner. So yeah, it's a really great way to tackle climate change, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is great. Can people buy carbon? I mean, I don't think they can buy biochar directly from you, but could they buy carbon credits, like individuals buy carbon credits from you? I think last time we spoke, you were still kind of working that out.
Yeah, like we have it as an option on our website. So if people want to compensate their emissions, they can buy them through our website. It's not like we are focusing quite a lot on businesses buying like lots of carbon credits at once, because they have to do this like by really commercial standards and sustainable morals. Like they need to do this to sort of be in line with having a justifiable business in the future. Like they have to have a net zero goal, they have to be buying carbon removal. So that's where we're focusing our attention to, but we want more people to get into it, to understand it, to then also encourage more businesses to do it. Like if your everyday consumer's willing to do it, then why isn't a massive corporate with huge profits and whatnot? So yeah, please feel free to buy credits on the website.
Yeah. I have to wonder about, like, we think about these big corporates as, corporates are entities, especially in the States. It's legally, they're an entity, they're their own human kind of. But we're finding more and more that those corporate entities are still made up of individuals. And when you get the right offer in front of the right individual for something in sustainability, they become an advocate with you. And I'm sure that you're also finding this, of being like, who's the person to talk to, Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you said it absolutely right. Corporates are made up of lots of individuals, and those individuals, like if they understand that it's something good, they're going to communicate it to their business that they work in or to their friends. So yeah, the more we can, I think that's also one of the things that we really recognized this last year, is that the science and the way to communicate about the solution, that has to be really simple and really easy for everyone to understand and then share to their friends and to their colleagues. Because if it's complex and all technical, then it makes it really difficult for people to get behind it. So I've really been testing quite a lot of what we do and how I communicate it with my grandma or my mates, and just seeing what they think it is that we do, and seeing how well they've understood it from the way that I communicate it. It's a challenge though, because people either want to go really deep into it and really go into the details of the science, and if you go too high level, then people don't really trust it. So it's a balance between being like technical, also like approachable. And we just sort of have to like tell it as we see it, because also there's so many different perspectives in sustainability, and the projects have their own stories, and the technology like has its complexities. So we just need to try and say it as we see it in the best sort of layman's terms possible to get people into it.
We kind of say like you have to be approachable and detailed. We say do all the things, do them both. All the way, communicate. Period.
And in as fewer words as possible, because people's attention spans are getting less and less. So you can't send a massive essay email and think people will read it, because I even see myself, I'm like, this is a massive email, I don't even want to respond to it, because I know it's going to take me so long to get through every detail and answer your question. So then try to put it into
really good headings. Use really good headings. You can like put all the details in there that you have, not on your website, not in an email, but then use really good headings, and people will get all the information. And when they are interested, they will read all the words. That's what we find.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we're excited about, is communicating the stories from these projects, because the places that they're located, it's not you like not everyone would go to the savannah of Namibia to meet the farmers and learn about what the industry, like what people do there on a day-to-day, what they eat. And I think that's kind of unique about this approach to carbon removal, is that each carbon credit is so unique to a project. It has its own unique story. So being that element, the people that are from the project to the carbon credit, I think is kind of interesting. It'll help people see that there's lots of layers and depth and things going on in different parts of the world that they wouldn't usually engage with, connect to.
How do you choose where your projects will take place?
So we've developed the methodology is for the tropics, so the tropical regions. This is for a couple of reasons. One, it's where biomass grows the quickest because of the year-round sunlight. It's also an area of the world that's been impacted most by climate change. I heard someone say on a podcast recently, which I've not clocked, but it's kind of super interesting. Like, we've got the melting of the poles, like the north and south poles, and all this water obviously is coming into the ocean. But because of the
centrifugal force or something,
rotation of the Earth, all the water just goes to the middle. So we're gonna have higher sea level rise in the tropics, in the central equatorial belt. And that's also the hottest temperatures. So we're going to have more water and more heat. So that's obviously going to be the region of the world that's impacted most by drought or extreme weather, thunderstorms, tropical storms. So that's also one of the reasons that we also want to work in these regions, because they're going to be impacted most. So being able to mitigate and adapt their soils and their landscapes to climate change by directing these projects and this finance to these regions, it feels like a good way to filter which projects we work with. And there's also there's sort of a technical due diligence that we do on the different projects that approach us, because that's also been something that's happened. We chose one project originally. We went and pitched them. We got into we developed the project, and and it moved forward, and then we made a little bit of noise online about the project and what we'd done. And then we've been inundated with projects from all over the world. I think the last time I checked, there was 160 projects from 35 countries that have just got in touch saying, we want to do biochar and carbon credits and carbon removal. How do we do it?
Wow.
Whoa. So now we have this ongoing whirlwind of filtering and sifting, and we have a project sort of screening form and the criteria, and that's always getting updated as well. So what we learned from one project might not be suitable for the next project. So we need to make sure that we filter out the right types of projects to work with. So that's also another way that we select the project. But there's a whole load of terms on our website as well. You can see what the sort of key ingredients are to a successful project.
What do the projects do with the biochar usually? So they just make it and it sits in, there's pictures of it in a pile, but does that pile, what happens?
So all of the biochar goes back into the soil as a form of soil conditioner. It's mixed with compost, so microorganisms, and some projects sell it to third parties to do this. So they sell it to another farm, but a lot of the projects actually put it back into their own soil. So they already have a lot of land, they already have a lot of biomass for making biochar, so they just put it into their own soil, and that's quite a nice circular system. It's sort of, there's a boundary to the project. Then you're not relying on a third party purchasing the biochar. But I think that as we get bigger and the projects get bigger, actually we need more people to be buying biochar as an ingredient for their farm off a project, because it's because it's like you then access more land, you then get more interest in biochar, more farmers test it in different use cases, they see the benefits. So then the sort of word of mouth, it spreads like, oh wow, this biochar worked really well in my fields, and then they tell it to their neighbor, and then the neighbor then buys it, and then everyone starts using more biochar. So I think there's two approaches really.
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask if because you have this balance between here's you, and then you have projects over here, and then you have businesses that because the individual can just go buy biochar, but projects, I'm assuming, or businesses, you want to like have an ongoing relationship with, be in talks with, back and forth. Like, how do you balance that for PlanBoo? Like, because now you just said you have 100 plus 140 projects
potential
ready.
projects. They reach out.
Potential projects.
Yeah.
Ready. So that doesn't seem to be an issue. But what about on the other side? What does the supply and demand look like there?
Yeah, I think this was been one of the biggest challenges over the last 6 months. Is we put so much time and attention into making a project generate carbon credits and getting it validated and getting the biochar in the right location and building an app, that we almost had this assumption that the world needs carbon credits, so of course they're going to buy these. Like, the world needs to remove carbon. So it was an assumption that everyone would just buy them as soon as we produce them, but that wasn't the case. Actually, there's a lot of prospecting that needs to go into building the relationship with the corporate that's thinking about doing something related to its emissions, and that's harder and slower than we'd anticipated, and it is a balancing act, because the sales cycles of some of these corporates, like the majority of them are really big corporates, so they are large oil and gas companies or large airline companies, and they don't buy carbon credits like that. You don't speak to one person and they purchase them. There's a whole there's a whole hierarchy, and decisions need to be made and due diligence. So so it's quite a slow sales cycle, but we seem to have found some really good partners that want to buy carbon credits, because they also know that it's a necessary must for their business. A lot of them have set net zero goals. That means that they're going to be net zero by 2030 or 2040 or 2050. And having now set the goal and now looked at how do we achieve this goal, they recognize that carbon removals is actually a really big part of achieving that goal. They can't reduce their emissions to absolutely zero, because we don't use hydrogen, we don't have electric planes all over the world. So it's carbon removal is an important aspect. So it's great to see that these corporates that have these goals are now working towards engaging in carbon removal, and the earlier they support projects like ours, the longer that relationship's built. Therefore, there's more trust, there's more engagement, and then also the price over time can reduce, because we've got that sort of long-term partner, that support for years of a project, which makes it, you're not trying to sell the credits on the spot market at the spot price. You can discuss the terms over a longer period of time. So yes,
cool.
It's fun trying to balance it, and it really brings a different perspective to, we really realize that we're sitting in the middle of this, so many different perspectives, because now you've got corporate airlines and fossil fuel companies, and we're talking to them, and then we're also talking to farmers on the ground that are harvesting bamboo and making biochar, and you have come off one call with a Thai farmer that's talking about his soil and how can he make compost easier, and then the next call is with an airline that wants to be net zero, and how do they do it. So we're just trying to bridge these gaps, and it's kind of corporates as well, and then quite greenies. We have quite a few associates that are quite ecologically minded, that already think this way, but you've got to balance then the banking and the finance elements of this. So it's really there's so many different angles and axes bringing together, which is fun. I enjoy that.
I'm glad you enjoy it, because it kind of seems like what you're gonna do now forever, or it's what PlanBoo is gonna do.
Try and bring these different people together, and it can't just be one like, it's great because the corporates can't just do it themselves. The greenies can't just do it themselves. The farmer can't just do it himself. Everyone has to come together, and actually that shared knowledge and understanding and sharing different perspectives is what makes a better solution, I think, because like we've sort of set up this mantra in the company that like great minds like don't think alike, because they don't actually. Great minds have so many different angles and perspectives that they developed and understandings over time. So bringing them together to find a solution, like a win-win across the board, is really what we're trying to do. And it has to be win-win. If someone's losing, then it's not going to grow, and it's not going to be the solution.
Wow, that's really, really cool. Because I'm thinking about like just the structure you're creating in and of itself is circular. It hits sustainability goals. It's inclusive and diverse. Like it isn't just I sell biochar, PlanBoo sells biochar. It is really like we're bringing the world closer together. We're helping these different people or different aspects, which used to be a social hierarchy, into what is a more unique, a completely unique, there's a more personal focus. And I think, great minds don't think alike is a really good way to say it. It's like you're breaking down a social hierarchy and kind of forcing people to say, you have the solution that I need. Let's come together and talk through it and do it together and like save the world.
We've got to bring people together, because I think the problem's been created because people have sat in silos and burnt fossil fuels by themselves, not thinking about the wider impact of that. So now it actually requires the wider impact, or the wider network of people to come together to bring a solution. It's just a change in the way of looking at because I think just one company in one country won't solve climate change at all. Like, actually requires everybody all around the world to come together and solve it. And fortunately, technology is so good, and it's only accelerating with now the use of AI. Like, it's so good at bridging all these gaps, like bridging the difference between the different parties, whether it's language, just language alone is really exclusive in a lot of ways.
Really
like
tough.
Previously, like one of our colleagues, Razim, so I worked with him for 3 years in Sri Lanka before PlanBoo. I was building a bamboo hotel with him, and he we brought him into the company. Like, he now is like our Sri Lankan country manager, and like one of the things he really struggled with, which naturally, was his written English, like his ability to communicate effectively. Like, he knew what he wanted to say, but to put it into like 3 paragraphs in an email and say, this is what I think and this is what I think should be done, something that he wasn't as effective at doing that. But now using like the likes of ChatGPT, like AI, to translate what it is that he wants to say and put it into an effective, clear message, is just accelerating this like sharing of knowledge and learning and building like a network. So it's really, it gives me so much like hope and excitement that this technology is allowing us to bridge these different differences and gaps and communication challenges to make these projects happen quicker. And the quicker we can get projects going, the more scalable carbon removal is. And then, obviously, then we tackle climate change sooner.
It's great. Do you have a overarching goal? Do you have like one company is not going to make a difference? Well, it will make a huge difference, but it's not going to save the world, right? But like, I guess, what's the vision for what you will pull from the planet?
What's it? So in a metric term, like,
I guess so, or however it is that you guys define it.
Okay. So our like hero metric, like as a metric within the company, is tons of carbon removed, because the IPCC, like the scientists have said, like, we need to be removing 10 billion tons of carbon dioxide a year from the atmosphere by 2050 if we're going to stay within 1.5 degrees of warming. And after 1.5 degrees of warming, it's really bad. Like, the planet is just cooking itself, and it's like exponential cooking itself. So that is our like hero metric, is how many tons of CO2 can we remove from the atmosphere every year. So that's so we're trying to get that metric as high and as quickly high as we can to try and accelerate that like direct impact. But at the same time, working with solutions in the regions that are most affected by climate change. Like I think if we were just sitting in Sweden with one machine and making this work and commercialize it and only employing people in Sweden to do it, then we'd be really limiting the ability to like scale up the solution firstly, but also distribute the knowledge and the wealth to different regions of the world that can definitely would definitely value it. And it's really good for them to be a part of the solution rather than it just be exclusive.
Being an inclusive solution. I mean, I think you're doing that, and it seems like you have a pretty rigorous project. I guess, how do I say that? Like you only take really specific projects if you have 6 and have been contacted by, or 5 and have been contacted by hundreds, right?
Yeah, like at the moment we've had to be we have to be rigorous because we've got limited time, limited resources. So we have to be very selective at this point. But as we build out our knowledge and understanding and technology, which is ever improving and getting better, we want our target type of project just to get wider and wider and wider, so that we can include as many different types of projects, as many different types of biomass. And if they don't have all the ingredients in place, then we want to connect them to people that do, and just make it so that it is more inclusive. But at the moment, with limited time and resources, we have to be quite selective. But the intention is that anyone can do it. I can do it in my back garden. Like everyone should be doing it in their back garden. When it gets to that point, it's so like democratized.
Do you have a personal pyrolyzer plan, oven pyrolyzer future plan?
For my back garden, yes.
That PlanBoo sells personal
pyrolyzers. Not at the moment, but in Sri Lanka, if you wanted one, I would send you one for sure. They make a great barbecue. Like the Kontiki kiln is a great barbecue. So
oh my God, a barbecue that pyrolyzes all of my waste, bio waste, because gardens create so much when you're weeding, and definitely enough for my own soil amendment. Okay, I'm on board. If you decide,
I can send you the designs and you can find someone locally that can manufacture one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, if PlanBoo decides they're going to sell personal biochar makers to people.
Yeah, personalized pyrolyzers. Wow.
Personal.
That'll be the day. Yeah, it should happen. Like, hopefully one day it will. Like, it's just another project related to biochar that has a benefit, has an impact. That's the great thing is it's so like it can go so many ways. Like there's so many ways to work with biochar and work with the solution. And that's what makes it great. Like it is democratized. Like only one person in Iceland that has the key to the machine and all the knowledge.
Yeah, you're not gatekeeping that.
No, technology allows, as I said, like people to communicate and share information and share data and understanding around how to make these projects work. I think that's really cool. Everyone needs to know.
So how do you want PlanBoo to grow in the next year? Because I mean, we're going to hit you up again for another call and just.
How do I want it to grow in the next year? Well, so we have about 9,500 credits that are like contracted to be produced in the next 12 months, just with our existing projects.
Okay.
We've sold 700 of them. We've produced just under 300 of them. So this next 12 months, the goal is definitely to have produced and sold those ones that we have contracted today. We'd like to add a new project every month. So a new project starts in Thailand on Friday. And then there's one in Namibia. Well, there's 3 in Namibia that could happen quite quickly. One's they've already produced all the biochar, it's just now applying it. So yeah, to be able to add new projects in different regions of the world every month would be really, really cool. To make the carbon credit really interesting, I think is critical. Like, I don't want it just to be this blanket certificate with a QR code on it that means absolutely nothing, like just the serial number. I think for people to understand what a carbon credit is, they need more than a certificate and a serial number. So that is a real important element of like what we do and how to to get people engaged in supporting projects, so that they can really like hone in on to what it is that they're supporting. I think that's cool, and that would be good to do. And to increase the team as well. Like we're at 9 now, but there's so many things that need doing. Like marketing, for example, is not a big like part of the business at this point, but I understand that it's such a critical element in helping people understand what it is that we're doing, making videos, content, getting on social media. I think that's like a important department within the business that needs to grow over the next 12 months. Just to remove more tons of biomass, to remove more tons of carbon from the atmosphere. To get to 10,000 tons over the next 12 months would be wicked.
10,000 tons per month?
No, to do 10,000 tons in the next 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah, which it doesn't sound like a lot, and it really isn't
a
lot. When we're looking at like we need to do 10 billion tons a year, like 10,000 tons is like 100,000 or 1,000,000 times less than what it needs to be. But in the whole world, like we realize that we're like there's actually not that many tons of CO2 being removed at the moment. Like I think the whole world is like the highest carbon. The company that's removed the most amount of carbon is still like maybe just under 10,000 tons. So we would be if we manage 10,000, we'll probably be in the top 10. We're in the top 20 at the moment. So to be in the top 10, like companies removing in the world would be epic.
It's already, I mean, doing it first and paving the way is always the hardest thing, and you're kind of right at that cusp, so
but that's also it's really exciting to be the first to do it. There's no you can't copy anyone else, and it also gives me like I see how many because we sort of at the end of the week every week we do a team meeting where we go what's been the blockages of the week and what's been the wins of the week. And we realize the more blockages that we can unblock each week, like we're just accelerating through these doors of like, okay, we've got to this step. And then you go like, whoa, okay, now we can see this and how this can become important and how that allows us to accelerate. Like, yes, we're sort of pioneering within this industry, and there's a few other companies doing similar stuff, but it just gives me so much excitement of how we are able to like connect all these different dots together, and we just like keep pushing through these doors, and it's like, whoa, it can get really big, really quickly. So that's really exciting, but it's hard. It can be difficult for sure.
But you're on it, and we'll check in again in a year.
Cool.
Do you want to remind people where they can find you and get a hold of you and all the good?
Yeah, sure. So actually like LinkedIn is like my main form of social media at the moment. So LinkedIn, PlanBoo, we have a website and we have an Instagram. So planboo.eco is the website and also the Instagram handle. LinkedIn, Freddie Catlow, if anyone wants to get in touch personally. But just reach out. I'll try and respond to any emails, but keep them short. Don't send massive emails because there's so many emails every day, and just trying to like process them, it takes up so much time. So, but interested, to connect with like-minded people. I realize I sit in such a bubble of what we do, both on LinkedIn, but online, like the people that I meet, like it's such a niche thing that we're doing right now. And when you only talk to people in this space, you like get blinded by that. And then, but when you go out and meet people day to day, or you go to like like an event on sustainability, like still carbon removal is like, what's that
Mm-hmm.
thing? So the more people that get into this space and into this industry, like it is actually one of the very clear, tangible ways that we can tackle climate change and solve climate change. So we need as many eager, motivated, excited, curious, smart people coming into this industry to help scale it up really quickly, because that's the way we're going to solve climate change.
That's what we need. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. I need to work on refining. Like I say, it's complex and it needs to be simple, like the way that we communicate it. I live in such a bubble of, I think I know, like I think it's clear, but in the way that we communicate these things. So really grateful to have the opportunity to share with you and also like just talk through it with people.
Yeah. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. I will be back next time.
See you next time.